Welcome listeners to a 2-story episode. To all my US supporters, I hope your morning is just brilliant. And to those lovely listeners where night is upon you, stay sharp and let me distract you. For me right now, I'm in heaven, drinking my English breakfast tea at night time. Ooh. Oh yeah, I'm such a rebel. I blatantly ignore the breakfast term completely. I'm a tough guy, okay? Who else do you know drinks breakfast tea at night? I thought so. But moving on, I have 2 awesome stories for you today. Our first story is a short one titled, "If You See Me Before My Monthly Cycle Has Ended, You Should Probably Kill Me," by ByfelsDisciple. And the second story is Notes to the Girl Whose House I Live In by JJX2525. These are both outstanding, so lovely listeners, turn the lights off, the sound up, and get ready for something different. I'm an abomination, but we can't help our natures, can we? That's not a rhetorical question. Some parts of our own being exist outside of our control, like the fact that our heart beats 85 times a minute when I sleep. Others are entirely within our own volition, such as the words that I choose to type on this page. But the confounding reality is that most of our actions are a mixture of both. How many regrettable things have you said after drinking? Do you blame it on the alcohol while knowing it really was all your fault? Everything in the world, particularly the other people in it, really is a type of drug. Every sensory input is taken in so that it affects our motor output. We become the involuntary beings of our choosing, sort of. I can't speak for everyone because everyone chooses a different nature, but during the low point of my monthly cycle, I'll admit that I choose to act differently. It's in my nature. I'm not proud of who I become, but I let it happen anyway. In the moment, the decisions I make seem to be logically sound. When the cycle ends, though, I look back in horror at what I said, what I did, whom I did it to. And in my regret, I promise that I will change. That I'll never make the same mistakes again. Then the cycle begins anew. I can feel myself becoming different. Neurotransmitters flood my brain, making me decide to behave in ways that I normally never would. Those are the times when I wonder if there really is a soul peeking from just behind the curtain, hoping its voice can be heard over the distracting hum of brain chemistry. In my lower, more desolate moments, I cynically believe that the soul is the brain chemistry. That when we imagine to be something greater, is nothing more than neurological synapses arranging themselves in a protective stance that delays but never denies the inevitability of mortality. Does that make terrible decisions easier or harder to live with? I'm nearly at the end of my most recent cycle. Trust me, the 1913th time is just as hard as the first. Right now, I feel no guilt for how much I've ignored the suffering of people around me. I know that I could have used my position to save a life, change a life, make someone's day just a little better. It would take so little to focus everything I am on helping someone else to reach everything they could be. I could reach into my bank account right now, empty it out, and 1,000 starving people would eat tonight. But I wouldn't do it. And I won't feel bad about it. That's just my nature. I'll regret it soon, though. My cycle will end and I will return to my natural state of simply not caring about a dollar or material possessions. In those moments, I wish I could be free of my physical belongings forever, and know that I was the richer for it. For now, though, I'm going to ride out the last few hours of being the most selfish creature that ever lived. There is not much left of the full moon, and I'm determined to wind it down without hurting anyone. It's the best that someone of my kind can hope for. I just can't wait for this full moon to end, so that I can change from a human back into a wolf. Story 2. Notes to the Girl Whose House I Live In. It took me a week to find where you keep your Wi-Fi password. A whole week! I was worried you'd thrown it away. But lo and behold, there it was, in the cutlery drawer of all places. Everything about the way you organize things confuses me. I guess because you live on your own, now you just put things any old place. I know there was someone else before. I heard you talking about him on the phone. Johnny, I think? Jimmy? Anyway, I know because you said it was tough being alone. But you're not alone, of course. You have me. There's a crack in your roof where I can see down onto the street below. Don't worry about the roof, by the way. Yes, it's pretty cramped, but I like my spaces small. I've actually stuffed a few things up there to make it smaller. Just bits and bobs from the recycling. I don't think you'll miss them. I can sit with my face against the wall and see down onto the street. That's where I saw you meeting up with those people wearing black. It would have been weird anyway because you never meet anyone, but they were all rubbing your back and holding your hand and stuff. I was scared you were going to bring them in, but you just went off together, so that was okay. I don't know what I would have done if the house had filled up with people. You know, it really explains a lot that there was someone else before me. Like the fact that you have 2 sets of drawers in your bedroom, or how you're living in such a big house all by yourself, and do weird things like leave the Wi-Fi in the cutlery drawer, or watch the same TV show all day on the weekend. I'm not one to talk, mind you. I'm addicted to my toys, like the big lump of blue tack I found a while back, which is great fun to fiddle with, but doesn't taste too good. Or the cigarette lighter that's fun to flick on and off, or the tube that has all the patterns in it that you can change. I could look down that thing for hours. I often have. That's what I normally do when you're home. Or I just sit back and listen to you do the washing, or run a shower or something like that. I crawl up the walls and hang there with my ear to the pipes and listen to the water rushing by. That kind of thing makes me happy. Plus, you never have anyone around, so once I got your schedule memorized, I could move around pretty free. I know what we have. It's a symbiotic relationship. That means you help me by giving me a warm place to stay and Wi-Fi, and I help you by eating all the spiders. Of course, there's no need to thank me. I fell asleep under the towels in your airing cupboard once, before I found the roof. And I saw you trying to get rid of one that was living under your sink with a broom. I have never seen so much ridiculous fuss in my entire life, but it makes no difference to me how many legs something has, so I just eat them up whenever I find one. And any other thing that makes its way into the house without permission. Aside from myself, of course. Since I only pay rent in spiders, I try to keep the things I take to a minimum. But I can't say I feel too bad about stealing your socks. You have so many socks. Why would one girl need so many? I get a lot more out of them than you do, anyway. I like to take them apart by the thread and then wrap all the threads around my fingers and pull them tight till the tips go purple. I can nibble my own fingertips and not feel a thing. It's pretty great. I try not to take too much food either. I found I can usually survive off the things you leave out or throw away. Why don't you eat banana skins? Another habit of yours that confuses me a lot. I like to open my mouth all the way and drop them in whole. No chewing. I've never needed too much food to get by. I really like butter though. Not to eat so much as to play with. You once left a block out by the window in the sun and it went all melty while you were at work. So I sort of started playing with it. Once I stuck my finger in it once, it was kind of hard to stop. I had it looking like a puddle by the end, but then I realized it was 5 and you'd be home soon. So I had to press it back into a rectangle as best as I could, but then I heard you opening the door. Boy, I was so startled. I went into the cupboard under the stairs. You know, the one you never go in as it's full of men's shoes and coats and things. And I watched you come in through the doorway. But then came the weird part. You didn't even notice the butter. All you did was make a cup of tea and then give up halfway through and start crying. Then you ordered Chinese and barely ate any before throwing it away. You see what I mean about your habits. I'm sorry, but it's just weird. Sometimes if I'm having a bad night, I like to get under your bed while you're asleep. It's nice because I can hear your breathing, and then I can match my breathing up with that. I lie there for ages, gasping in and out. And if you get up for the bathroom or anything, I have to go completely still and hold my breath. I don't know why I do it. I guess it's fun. You're the first person whose company I've ever enjoyed. You cooked dinner the other evening. I noticed because you played music, which you never do. And you made something which took almost an hour and a half with about 1 million ingredients. I crept down to the top of the staircase and I could see you bouncing around doing moves with the spoon. It was so funny, I had to cover my mouth to keep from laughing. Then I saw something that got me really scared. You laid 2 places at the table. I thought there was someone else in the house and climbed all the way up the ceiling thinking they'd see me. As I was hanging there, I saw you serving 2 plates and I couldn't move from the panic. Another person? I just knew I wouldn't like them as much as you. That they'd ruin everything and make me go all crazy like I used to be. I didn't know what to do. I was ready to hurt them, really, really hurt them. That's how scared I was. Then you sat down. You lit the candle on the table and started eating by yourself. Nobody else showed up. And after you were done, you took the other food and threw it away. Even though I was relieved, I felt kind of bad that the other person never showed up. You didn't seem sad, though. It was like you expected it to be just you. After you went to bed, I went through the bin and ate some of the food you threw away. It was delicious. I knew something was wrong the next day because you didn't leave for work, and then you ran a bath in the middle of the afternoon. After you'd been in there for ages and ages, I started to get this horrible bad feeling. I crawled down to the landing. The bathroom door was open a crack, so I peeked through. I saw your hand. It was hanging, not in a natural way. And there was this long, red line going down it. And then I realized I ran back upstairs. I'm a coward. I know I'm a coward. I hid under my pile of stuff and started to cry. I thought about running away. I thought about the color a pink bath mat goes when it's covered in blood. I thought about how much I wanted to be somewhere else, but most of all, I thought about you, and about how little sense you make. What I'm trying to say is that I'm sorry I lit your roof on fire. It was the only way I could think to get people to come. It actually worked better than I expected. That recycling stuff sure did burn. I ran down to the cupboard under the stairs and curled up with my hands over my head until I heard them kick the door down and carry you out. There was a lot of confusion and bad language, but they found you and I heard one say you were still breathing. So my favorite place in the world is gone now. Most of my things as well. Though I did think to grab the pattern tube. The rest is just a big black wig on top of your house. But I'm not scared. You'll get better, and when you come back, I'll still be there. I don't think it's nice to be alone. Just awesome. I loved both of these stories. Our first story had me thinking, is this a neat social commentary story? And then it spun me around with the wolf ending. Just like this story, it goes to show that first impressions aren't always what they seem. Very well written. And thank you, ByfelsDisciple, for your approval on this one. And the second story had me hooked on every word. This one gave me a chance to be a little creepier than usual, and some tongue-in-cheek moments had me really enjoying the story. So thank you JJX2525 for your great story as well. For all you awesome listeners out there, thank you so much for listening. And for you tale-tellers out there waiting for your stories to be read, I've got a little influx of stories to chomp through, so rest assured I'm working on it. This doesn't mean you lovely people can't send me stories still. So if you do have some stories to send in, feel free to reach me on my Gmail, storiesfablesghostlytales@gmail.com, for any stories or experiences that you have and you want to share. So that's storiesfablesghostlytales@gmail.com. I always love hearing from supporters. All of you make my day every day. And speaking of my day, it's time to sign off. This is the place where stories live, and you tale-tellers come to listen. Enjoy your day or night, and join me every weekday for our creepy tradition. And as always, till next time.